The God of Mischief has pulled his greatest trick yet. Loki's wild ride through the multiverse and time slipping has come to an end in the Loki Season 2 finale, leaving fans with their jaws on the floor. The sacred timeline will never be the same. I'm Christian, and in this video we're breaking down everything that went down in the insane final episode of Loki's second season. We will look at how the series brilliantly set up Kang the Conqueror as the next big bad of the MCU, where our favorite variants ended up, and the implications for Phase 5 and beyond. Now let's dive in and make sense of that wild ending.
You just choose your burden.
Throughout the season, Loki got himself in a knot across the timeline. Our favorite God of Mischief has been jumping uncontrollably around the TVA's past, present, and future this season. Last week's jaw-dropping finale left the TVA in chaos, but the God of Mischief is not done with this timeline yet. The episode opens with Loki traveling back to the chaos of episode 4 before the brave Victor attempted to fix the overloaded temporal loom. Loki's on a mission to alter the events he now knows will lead to the TVA's destruction. Like we see, with his new mastery over time, he's determined to rewrite history and undo the meltdown of the time loom. Loki hatching plan after plan to change Victor's fate, knowing what he knows is something that we see in this episode. Loki's temporal tricks can alter events, but how can he stop the complete annihilation of the TVA? Something that we see in this episode, and I have to say it's one of the sad episodes I have seen so far. The sacred timeline remains in destruction, and episode 6 is gonna explain how Loki tampering with time is gonna save the day or fragment reality into madness. Now, coming into this episode, it was likely to see Loki stuck in a time loop in a way, trying to prevent Victor's death, fixing the time loop, and no matter what he does, we can see how Victor as well is destined to be spaghettified, but how he has to be the one who fixes everything instead of allowing others to fix the mistake of or issue. And what we imagine Loki ended up being was at the beginning of what happened in season 1, back having to face He Who Remains, and that's something that I was not expecting at all in this episode, going back to that moment where Loki goes to pretty much ask questions to He Who Remains about what he can do to fix this, and how this pretty much changed as well the events after this, and how Loki was always meant to take his place at the end of time, which is something that blows my mind. So a devastated Loki time slip back to Mobius, who gives him the motivation to embrace his destiny. Perhaps Loki realized he must preserve the proper timeline and accepts the TVA's destruction, and also be the one who becomes the Loki who remains. In an emotional end, Loki time loops back to take Victor's place on the bridge to fix the time loom. Now, the reason that it works so well is that he is a god, so he can go into the radiation and fix the time loom, and his actions solidify the sacred timeline, and we get a glimpse of Loki taking over as the new He Remains at the Citadel. So it's a full circle moment. But I'm fascinated by the idea of having Loki accept his fate, and how this season and season 1 led to the events unfold as they're meant to, preserving the proper timeline. Now Loki becomes now the ruler and protector of the TVA, similar to Loki Prime, also known as Avenger Prime. Is a powerful variant of Loki who commands the multiversal Avengers, something that set up Secret Wars in an exciting way. Loki Prime realized his purpose was to gather the Avengers across realities. That's something that happens in the comics. There's a lot of information, but this Loki is unique in that he has chosen to repent for his past misdeeds and work to protect the multiverse by assembling its mightiest heroes. Something that I imagine is something that would love to see that in Secret Wars or Kang Dynasty. Loki Prime patiently gathered Avengers for eons and employed an army of deadlocks to recruit heroes and warn realities of incoming threats. So that's something that I imagine now that Loki's He Who Remains is gonna be set up for Secret Wars. When the god Quarry was attacked, Loki Prime led the charge in defending it alongside Avengers from many universes. Now he continues to marshal the multiversal Avengers from his base at Avengers Mountain, determined to safeguard the multiverse from future threats, and something that connects as well with Secret Wars now that Loki's at the Citadel at the end of time, that how he can now pretty much advise the Avengers of incoming threats. So that's amazing. It's set up so well, and now he knows that Kang is on the loose. But episode 6 picks up right after the heartbreaking loss of Victor Timely in episode 4, who sacrificed himself accidentally trying to fix the overloading temporal loom that controls the sacred timeline. But Victor's death seems inevitable, so Loki goes further back in time to prevent the loom from ever melting down, and we can see how he goes to the moment back in episode 1 of season 1 where he meets Mobius, as well as he goes back to when he meets Sylvie's trying to kill He Remains. So there's so many moments in the episode that he goes back to, and something that I want to explore more in this video, but there's so much to discuss. But before you continue, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much. The time loom is still being destroyed, and there's a sad scene that I'm gonna go and discuss in a moment with Loki and Mobius. This suggests this quest could take Loki all the way back to with the moment that Sylvie murders He Who Remains that started this events. So when Loki confronts He Remains again, and that's something that I'm gonna go ahead and discuss in a moment, pretty much Cam reveals his plan, which was to have Loki design the entire TVA system as a test that Loki must pass to take over as his new He Who Remains or leader. This match teases that Loki is gonna set up the whole Kang the Conqueror storyline. And that moment when he's speaking with Mobius, where he had to accept his destiny, allow everything to happen, and pretty much be the one who has to sacrifice himself. And that's something that I always wanted to see, was Loki returning to the end of time, taking over as He Who Remains, and being the one that protects the multiverse now. This is something that we see in a comic art that was released a while back. This completes Loki's circular character arc as he transitions from the chaotic agent of free will to the protector of the sacred timeline. While needing theory to seem too clean and ending for a trickster like Loki, something that I wanted to see was how the bittersweet climax finds our anti-hero alone at the end of time, prisoner of his duty. Something that obviously his love for his friend is something that we see in season 1 and season 2. His powers actually came from for the love of his friends, and now that he's alone, it's a little bit sad, but hey, it was meant to be. Loki's story is far from over. He has now become one of the huge characters in Phase 5, and now with Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, his role is more important than ever, and something that is teased in the finale. Now, let's not forget about Sofia Di Martino, whose arc remains unfinished in my opinion. That's something that they will have to continue to explore more of. Now, some recently comic art also gives credence to part of this journey of Loki. The art depicts Loki alone within the Citadel at the end of time, having replaced He Remains as his master. So it connects to how the season plays out, but this art was so important more than before. Throughout the episode, there are some profound moments of Loki rewinding time to change events, but to no avail. Despite his new mastery over time, Loki cannot alter the time loom and the destruction of reality. These sad scenes will highlight Loki's emotional arc, showing how far he has come to the selfish God of Mischief to one willing to sacrifice everything for those he cares about. The most gut-wrenching sequence and scene involves Loki and Mobius. That's something that we're going to go ahead and discuss now. As reality disappears before their eyes, Loki extends his hand to touch Mobius one last time. This symbolic gesture evokes the meaning behind the emotional songs like Adele, All I Ask Were. But Loki's growth into the selfless faker will make this demise all the more tragic, and as well as the connection between Mobius and Loki. Now that Loki is at the Citadel at the end of time, we see how Mobius goes to see his life and see his children with Sylvie, and how pretty much he goes back to the TVA because that's his duty, setting up as well Deadpool 3. There's a lot of information that we're going to see Mobius in that film, so this is how he connects to that, so I'm excited to see that. There's more to discuss, so let's go ahead and talk about it. Now Loki is armed with a new clarity of purpose. Loki parts ways with Sylvie and the others to protect them from what comes next. He steps out of the TVA into pure temporal chaos. And as we see, he pretty much destroyed the last shakes of his identity as a TVA agent and becomes the new Loki through divine form, horns and all. With a wave of his magical hands, Loki pretty much stabilized the timelines and the dying timelines. But as we zoom out, a startling shape revolved from the scattered threads of the multiverse into the Norse world 3, the Yggdrasil, which is something that we have seen in the Loki lore, Thor lore, and something that connects to the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse with the tree. So that's so cool, and now it connects both those of the pretty much those of those things. And this takes place as the balancing form. Loki has reforced reality itself into this ancient symbol, taking his place as the balancing force at its heart. The new shape of the multiverse undeniably evokes the original Marvel Comics depiction of the Yggdrasil, binding the different dimensional realms. Loki even occupies a little throne in the citadel of time that once Kang's. The episode transformed Loki into the master weaver of destiny, or a living embodiment of the World 3 in the multiverse, which is so beautiful. And in the final moments, Loki gazed out with satisfaction as we see the branching timelines radiating out from him pretty much in this void of infinity. The God of Mischief appears to have transcended beyond Kang's manipulation to finally seize control of his own glorious purpose. This is so beautiful, and I'm really excited to see how Marvel is gonna explore more of this. I'm actually more interested about what's gonna happen in incursions and how it's gonna be affected. So yeah, it's gonna be awesome, and Loki obviously is gonna be a huge part of this. And Loki choices seem pivotal in reshaping the destiny of the MCU next generation. And season 2 was a moving study of free will versus determinism through the lens of a single man hoping to chart his own course separate from the sacred timeline. Loki remains locked into now a beautiful, glorious purpose, like the episode title. This is more about my thoughts on the episode and how it set up the future of the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse with the Tree of Life. And yeah, once Loki saw only order, now he appreciates the majesty of free will. And imagine the stories that are gonna unfold across the cosmos. He who was once damned as a variant now protects all the timelines as a benevolent god. So it's so beautiful, and I'm so excited. I've never been more looking forward to the Marvel Cinematic Universe more after this Loki season 2 finale. I will continue to do videos tomorrow, but what are your thoughts? Thank you so much for watching. My name is Christian from Beyond Premiere, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye, everyone.